I see girls who have dye on one calf, epic on the other calf in Russia who post on Instagram all in Russian and they tag me. And I'm like, I don't know what this says. That's like the ultimate global move when people, chicks in Russia are tattooing it on their legs.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of I Know This Guy, the podcast where we dive deep into the lives of some of the most interesting people I know. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to I Know This Guy wherever you get your podcasts. By the way, my kids want me to say something about ringing a bell. What the hell's a bell?
So, Dad, who do we have lined up for today?
We have got Daniel DiMassa, and this guy is going to blow your mind. He has a couple of partners he's going to talk to you about, and between the three of them, they've sold over $1 billion worth of t-shirts.
Billion.
1 billion. And the stories that he has, well, put it this way. I don't know any brand or any tribe that are tattooing this guy's logo on their body.
All right, awesome. Well, let's get started.
So, hey, Daniel, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. We've been talking about this for a long time, so this is a very happy day for me.
I'm curious because we still are pretty much in lockdown. And I know that Florida, some of the beaches, started to open up. What's it like in Miami?
So it's crazy. So technically, I'm Miami Beach. So I know you guys are, being from Canada. I was, if you look at the state of Florida, especially Miami, we're literally the island that has 3 bridges connected to the mainland. But Miami's a pretty huge blanket term, huge county or city. So even though we were just about to get our beaches open. I think the rest of Florida, they've been way ahead of us. They are now allowing some bars for the first time Monday and stuff like that. But now it's completely changed. We went from the big COVID spike in our town, where being a hot spot, to now the unruly protests. So we got, it's only in 2020. Do we get thank God I followed the mayor to get a tweet to see that we're on curfew. Because if you didn't know, if I wasn't following him, you don't get a text message. We're on lockdown because of the unruly protests. But the very crazy thing is, living on an island, when these big protests broke out last night, they literally just throw the bridges up. I mean, it's like a cartoon. They just throw the bridges up like a big sailboat's coming by, so the protesters can't get to our island. And they do look peaceful from what I've seen. I would love to go join them, but we are literally just separated by bridges and they block them off. So crazy times we're in.
Is it me, or 2020 has got to be the most crazy year ever? The Australian fires. Who would have ever thought that would have happened? COVID. This, with the rioting now, we're talking about Black Lives Matter, the protests in the U.S. But it's crazy.
It's nuts. Our town actually gave a shout out 2 doors down. I have a lady who just this last week turned 106 years old. She was in the Nazi camps. She survived the Spanish flu, which is crazy. Like, I can go ask her, what's it like being through a pandemic? So I almost wish I could, get her on a podcast, because the stories that lady must tell, to be through 2 pandemics, world wars, everything. But yeah, this year's crazy. And I teach and mentor a lot of, startups. And I'm just like, listen, I'm a big MMA fan. And you see what those guys have, the cauliflower ears. If your business survives 2020, that's like the cauliflower. You're like, yeah, you did good. This is a tough year to be in business, but it only makes you stronger. Ads are getting cheaper, and there are some positives to this crazy turmoil.
Right. Oh, well, we'll see. We're only halfway through the year,
There's a lot of our brand, which we'll get into later, of course, Die Epic, but we're all about the crazy hardcore people who really live life. So we have started bragging to ourselves, like, well, what did we got done during lockdown compared to sitting on the couch and watching Tiger King for the 15th time. And the reason I bring this up is I started 2 different little brands and websites just recently during the lockdown. And one of them was just a silly site called presidentpuns.com, where we make really silly t-shirts. The reason I bring this up is my bestseller right now is Murder Hornets 2020 for president. That's how bizarre this year is, that we don't even know what's next.
I forgot about murder
I
hornets.
know. We almost glassed over murder hornets. And then being from New Jersey, New York originally, they now are having something they're calling cannibal rats. Like rats usually eat all the, in the subways, they eat the pizza. The rats are now eating each other because there's not people running around, dropping and littering. So I'm like, yep, between murder hornets and cannibal rats, I don't know what's next.
Oh
being surrounded by water, we're about to have hurricane season, and it's earlier and meaner than normal. So I think sharks with lasers on their head during a hurricane, I think that's next, if I could put money on it.
Or The Walking Dead becomes a reality show. We met a few years ago. We could just kind of hit it off. And every year, we sit down, we have a cigar. Tell me about in New Jersey and, getting down to Miami. What was it like? What was it like growing up? What were some struggles that you had to endure?
Yeah, gotcha. So I basically, since the day I had one paper route, because again, my parents didn't go to school or anything. We just worked. We were a work family. We worked like dogs. And I had 3 jobs since the day I was legally allowed to. And I, just absolutely grinding. I was the kid that would take a paper route, and we had no money. So me and my dad, he was an ex-mechanic. We went to the junkyard, and we actually found a busted moped. So of course we bring it home for free, fix it up. Next, we're mounting like a milk crate. I can go deliver my papers now from this moped. Well, I do such a good job. The neighbors love me. I now start basically acquiring other kids' routes. I don't know, 13, 15, I don't know what it was. So now I've got 3 routes, and with them, I'm clearly cheating by using a moped. I have to come back to get more papers. That's how insane this route was. It's like Monopoly. And then in the ultimate hustler move, my mom was working as a secretary, I believe, at a dentist's office at the time. And so I kind of went there and could do some odd jobs around the office to be able to use their photocopy machine. And I made a little piece of paper that said, household helpers. We'll come cut your grass. We'll help you, make sure we'll paint things and all the silly stuff. And this was totally against the rules, I'm guessing. I would stuff the newspapers now with my little ad. And then from there, I need help. I'm trying to hire kids in the neighborhood. And I'm like, what the hell? College? Why would I go to college? I learned more in a paper route at like 13, than I think I would at Ivy League school. So that's where I think I got bit by the bug of entrepreneurship. And, I loved having customers, and just doing a good job made me feel good. And that's where it all kind of spiraled from.
So did you attend university?
I did. It was a protest, basically. I did not want to. Being that my grandfather came here, we think illegally, we don't know. That was like the American dream to my parents, is that, hey, my kids are going to go to school. So as much as I didn't want to, I'm still not a fan of it to this day. I went to community college so I could work my 3 jobs. I went slower than most. I didn't have a full-time load, so I could work all my jobs. And it was, here's a crazy little thing I'll expose here on this podcast. I've never really told anybody. So I went to community college, and of course I started off electrical engineering, and they started running out of kids. It was Mercer County Community College. They didn't have a lot of people really excited about this electrical engineering. So my course got down to 7 kids, and then it got down to them emailing us saying, hey, we can't fill this class, so choose something else. And that's when I got into business. So I did the business. And so I went to this community college, got my business degree, and then went on to Rider University, which is a really good business school in New Jersey as well. I want to make the record perfectly clear here. I learned so much more at community college, so much more. I had actual business owners that would retire. They had a family business. The kids didn't want it. They would come teach. They told you what worked, what didn't work, all that good stuff. When I went to Rider University, a big name school, they had the first year of an entrepreneurial program, which I was a big part of. So I go and get it, and I'm talking to the advisors, all the high ups. Nobody owned a company. Not one person who's teaching entrepreneurship owned a company. And I just got so frustrated, and I'm not one to speak out. I'm just like, are you kidding me? And it turned out when I started pushing back and grilling this university, they had such a high accreditation that in universities, they judge you by how many PhDs teach, how many books in your library, all that good stuff. But when you're using that as a KPI, how many PhDs, I don't know. I don't think I know a single entrepreneur who has a PhD. Very, very few do, if any, that I know of personally. It kind of seems weird to spend $200,000 learning how to work from someone if you're going to be an entrepreneur. So that is kind of my big reveal for this podcast. Just something that I was really shocked by, that the small, actual business owner taught community college, I learned way more in business than I did a big name university.
That's incredible. When you think about it, that could be for politicians. That could be like, how are they, working with small businesses when they, for the most part, a lot of them have never owned a small business, and they're telling us how to, what we have to do. Same thing, like with what you said about university. I can't agree more. You've got these people that have been taught by books, but how do they know how to balance cash flow? Like when you have nothing, or when you're a startup, or there's so many questions that at least I look for myself, because I didn't go through for business. I went through for film and cinematography and only worked in that business for a couple of years. But then it's what you learn on the streets. It's paying your tax and getting your MBA just by making so many bloody mistakes, or learning what's working and what's not. Is that what you did?
Yeah, absolutely. You lose, you win. You just recently, actually, I got into paperback books. That's one thing I wish I got into earlier. Everyone thinks I'm like so well read in these business books, but that is very, very recent. And reason being, I was on the, I guess technically by law, I think I'm a millennial. I don't know. I would read like crazy every morning, but that would be the latest, Reddit post for our PR or blog or marketing. I would always want to do Google Alert set up for the latest, greatest marketing news that I would never actually read, old school books. And now that I've switched my focus to do both, I'm reading a lot more books. I could see how that's so way more powerful. And the funny thing is, I'm actually have a list I'm working on now of like, if you read these 15 books, you are absolutely better off than an MBA. I guarantee I will put my name on it, because these books are the best of the best that would help me with my brand and all this stuff,
Would you be able to, I know I'm asking a bit here, but would you be able to provide a list and we'll post that list?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a work in progress, but I absolutely do have these. I also mentored a lot of t-shirt brands, and I know I have the list for the t-shirt brands, but I just finished Profit First, for example. So that is not t-shirt specific, but that's more accounting, bookkeeping. So I can add that to the list, stuff like that. So yeah, that shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, we can set you up with that.
Oh, fantastic. It doesn't have to be 15. It could be 5,
Yep.
But it's great that, people can go out there, and especially what you said. I mean, the emphasis on reading books could give you more knowledge than spending, the 200,000. Now, I mean, university, absolutely, you're going to learn, but the things that you learn outside of it, I almost look at it when I talk to people that just come out of university, it's almost like they've got their white belt. And, now they've got to go through the gradings, and you have to go through life to get to that black belt, And although a lot of people, and I think this is a mistake, when they come out of university, and it depends on which course and what you're doing, but I'm talking about general business,
Right.
is that they think they're here. They think that they're a 10th degree black belt when they have a lot of learning, and they expect, it's entitled, like, I'm going to work at this job. I'm not willing to, work past 5 o'clock. I want $150,000 a year salary. Life doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I've got one or two funny stories about this I could tell you. So in college, I was watching the Colbert Report TV show. I believe that's where I saw it. And he used to have a segment called like tip of the hat, wag of the finger, just some where he would like showcase random things. And one of them was an energy drink called cocaine. And it was, of course, it didn't have cocaine in it, but I graduated high school 2001. So this is right when energy drinks started like peaking. And I wanted to check it out, and I couldn't find any. So I'm calling around, and I found a manufacturer. And this guy was so rude to me on the phone. He's like, I don't sell cans. I only sell wholesale. You have to buy a pallet. And I am so stubborn. I was like, okay, I'll take a pallet. Never tasted, no idea what this weird energy drink is. But I was like, they got their branding on point, and they're getting free PR. There's something there. I literally just wanted to try one can. So I had this really awkward car called a Ford Explorer Sport Track. It's half Explorer, and it has a little mini pickup bed on the back of it. So I drive up to this random place. I think I used Microsoft like Paint to make a website and a logo called cocainecocktail.com. Went up there, sight unseen, pretending I have a business, bought this huge thing, way down my truck, get it down to the college, and I start selling it on eBay at the college. And as I'm doing this is actually before smartphones. This is right around when phones had internet, but they weren't actual, like live apps and all that good stuff. So now this is when I'm at this big university. I'm taking business classes that are so easy. Like, I don't know how you can get a C in some of these classes. It makes me so angry because community college, there was at least one class I had to take over again. And I'm reasonably smart too. There was one class I had a bad enough grade I had to redo. So now I'm here. It's so easy. And I have this flip phone with internet. And my teacher, this woman, keeps me leaving the classroom. And of course, I'm like a character, so I'm always showing up kind of late on a motorcycle. Like I'm not the normal college kid. I would come to there in a motorcycle. Like I wasn't like in a dorm. You wouldn't see me at a homecoming. I would just like this random commuter come in on this like street bike, would match his motorcycle to his outfit that day. It was just like So she keeps seeing me leave. She was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, actually, I'm like, I actually have a business, unlike all of you teachers." So when I get orders in, I go to my awkward truck, which the bed locked, and I had packing tape and supplies. I would get an order on eBay, walk out of class. The college was big enough that had a mini post office in it. Now, I didn't even live there, but I knew they had a post office, so I would wrap up my package in the parking lot of this college and just start shipping them out. And, this kind of like blew her mind. And as she was talking, I would literally raise my hand and be like, "Ma'am, that's not true at all. What you're saying is absolutely not true. How you want to do it is this and that." And this teacher was cool. She actually let me come up and teach a couple classes. Some teachers weren't so happy about it, but she was cool. She would actually let me come in there and say, "Hey, I'm feet in the ground trenches. This is literally what's working. And here's how some real world stories are." But it was crazy. I even had that awkward truck wrapped with domains on all three sides to see which got the most clicks. And this is stuff that none of this was taught in college. I'm just this nut job, going through trying to get my stupid degree to make my parents happy while I'm doing the real business,
So you're split testing.
Exactly. Try explaining to that some book teacher who's never, and it was just great because it was hilarious. This was back when you could park domains and make a lot of money. So like I could buy localgasdiscounts.com during a gas freak out for $7, put that sticker on the side of my car. People would click on it. It would go to a GoDaddy parked link and then I would make money. And, I just had again, I come from nothing. If I was Donald Trump, yeah, I could have a nice corner piece of property and build it. But when you've got nothing, your friends are just using that $7 to buy 6 packs of beer to watch like corny TV shows and beer pong, which I love me some beer pong. It was just like, was grass in the roots. Like, how can I turn a $7, domain into $100 so I can go buy some supplies or do something else? So that's a school of hard knocks, I guess. That's really where I learned all my goodies.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. Split testing. That's great. So after college, what did you do? Or did you have any other businesses while you were in university?
Yeah. So I had the energy drink distribution. And what happened there was that is where not me, I was just like a distributor. Of course, I didn't manufacture it. I saw it on a TV show. All the soccer moms and FDA was all cracking down because nobody wanted this energy drink called cocaine. Like that is like taboo. So they found a way to shut them down because they labeled their water source wrong and they got shut down. So I had to move on to other things. My biggest client, which is funny, I'll tell you two big takeaways from that industry. So the first was my biggest client. You would think like maybe extreme sports or this and that, a train station. Because we had a train station in town that went to New York City, all the kids would want to go buy the strongest energy drink they could at the little mart at the train station and then go to New York City and party all night. And this was stronger than Red Bull and stuff, which I thought was really interesting. And then the second takeaway is now, especially me, that I work with all these extreme sport athletes don't drink energy drinks. Very few do with a high profile. They are like ultimate machines of like testosterone and perfect health. It's gamers. Gamers sit on their couch and have to stay awake the entire night. So when I was selling an energy drink, I couldn't believe all of my sales were to mostly gamers. I couldn't believe it. The TV makes you think it's all the adrenaline sport athletes. Nope, it's gamers.
To get your demographic, how did you come across it?
Yeah, good question. Because I was so boot on the ground and didn't know any better, I was just a doofus, learning the hard way. I sold to stores, I sold on eBay, and I would just have like listings, and even people in that college like, oh wait, you go to this college, and I could see and interact with them. I love flea markets. I don't care how much money I make or don't have. If I go to a flea market, I'm a ham. I'll sell anything. I've literally sold pens at a flea market, and that is not a joke. So I just doing that. Yes, it's great getting sales, but I like to do it because you build a bond with people. You're seeing their demographic. You're seeing what shirts they're wearing. I tell people, like I sell to like guys that have big lifted Jeeps. When they pull away their big lifted Jeep, I like to see what stickers are on there. Is it Patagonia? That you can learn more from bumper stickers than anything else. And having that interaction is really what let me say, oh wow, these are mostly gamers.
Learn more from bumpers. Now I'm learning something here. I've never looked at anybody with a bumper sticker seriously. It was okay. I'm going to pay more attention. So I'm curious, did the business prosper? I know that you said you had to they had to shut down, but did you make some coin with that?
Yeah, I did. And what was crazy is because, again, I don't know if this is even ethical because I was selling to all three channels. Some people say, because back then, before the internet was really, really big, you were supposed to sell to just consumers or just stores. You really weren't supposed to do all channels like I was. But I was just a dumb college kid, trying to make some money. So what worked really well is because I had a huge amount of inventory, I put it on eBay. And because stores were banning it, states were banning it. And once a state or a town bans it, it gets super hot. Back then, eBay would let you pay extra money to be at the top. You could pay to have a purple banner around your little image, but I had a bigger quantity than anybody else. So I could just destroy it. I think I was probably getting $7 cost per acquisition or something like that. But I would make money on shipping plus the box of it, everything. And I was running a laser tag arena as one of my many jobs. So we had a little closet in the laser tag arena. I could keep it there. We sold it at the laser tag arena. And so, yeah, it was very profitable. And then at one point, eBay or PayPal finally banned it. Again, there wasn't a lot of talk about it this time in the world. So they were really, everyone had their panties in a wad over this energy drink. So first I think eBay banned it. And then I think it was like PayPal or Google Ads might have banned it. And that's when things started slowing down. And then thank God my biggest customer bought everything, so I still made out well. And then that's when I heard that they were changed and they were just done. They couldn't do anything with it.
So the guy that really didn't give you the time of day, the CEO of the company that made you buy the pallet, did his view change once he started to see the volume come in?
He actually was the CEO of the energy drink company. He was the first guy to bring it to Jersey. I was the one that brought basically to South Jersey from him. Yeah, his tune changed. But again, it's just, that people ask me what it takes to be a good entrepreneur. And I'm like, I don't think you could be brilliant, but I've seen brilliant guys and gals that just fail. It's being stubborn, I have a little bit of stubbornness in me. I think it's my Italian side. But I'm like, you can't buy this. Oh, yes, I can. Give me 5,000. Give me a pallet. Like I'm in. And even worse is, of course, I load my truck up. I crack one. Worst tasting drink you've ever had in your life. And I'm like, oh.
Are you serious?
So it wasn't that bad. It was very, very cinnamony. But what their gimmick was, they put something in there so it kind of burned your throat a little bit. Almost like a fireball before fireball was a thing. Like it didn't burn painfully, but that was their gimmick. And I give them credit for it. That's why they went viral at that time before even, it had, their can had 3 little Longhorns on it to show it had the caffeine of 3 Red Bull in one can. So between it being stronger, having an edgy name where, if you're a 13-year-old and you're going through that, whatever it was, everyone, it became the hot thing to drink. But, so it's still, even though it wasn't the best tasting, they didn't want to be the best tasting. They wanted to be the edgy type of energy drink.
You get out of college, you've already got this great drink. What's on the agenda next?
So there was 2 actually, and I should, I know we like to talk about failure here. So maybe I should talk about my very first company before that. And this is where I failed, and you're going to see me glow. I absolutely glow talking about my first company. So my very first company was called IHateYourDriving.com. So my sister is about my height, tall girl, but literally this skinny. Worst road rage you ever seen. Imagine a stick figure girl screaming, hooting and hollering. And I'm like, Sue, you're going to get murdered one day. You need to not road rage on people. So I built this funny website called IHateYourDriving.com. And what it was is we had fictitious tickets. So if you cut me off, I take your license plate, click on the map, say, Maryland 3512 license plate. Hey, you cut me off. That person could respond, which is hilarious. So now it's like, oh, I was having a bad day, or hey, you probably cut me off. You weren't using a blinker. And I was trying to take road rage from the streets where it can get ugly to the internet. I had tickets printed up, and the reason I smile so big is I had gamification. Once you signed up with your email, you were an officer, or I had a fun term. I wasn't an officer. It was some sort of cute term so people knew we weren't cops. Everything was very cartoony and silly. It wasn't like we were trying to be the police. And you got badges that would go up to gold the more that you responded or talked to people. I built gamification with no college education at like 2001 before the Yelps and everyone else. And I have that sheet framed because it means so much to me. And as a funny aside to that, domains were cheap back then. So I hate PAdrivers.com. I hate NewYorkDrivers.com. I hate FloridaDrivers.com, which I would put on t-shirts. People would buy. And out of all the states, I hate PennsylvaniaDrivers.com was the best seller. So in my opinion, they're one of the worst drivers out there.
And that's another way to find out your demographic, not just through bumper stickers.
Yep.
That's a crazy idea. I always thought, like, taking those bow and arrow with the little rubber end and saying, I am stupid, when somebody does. So what was the failure part about this?
Two things happened after I started, and I had so many domain names. I even had iRoadRage.com. Like I had it down. And this is where I really learned my shit. I was not a developer. And a buddy who was helping me run the laser tag arena, Scott, he's an amazing dude, amazing entrepreneur to this day. He just got acquired with oneseo.com and he hit down all this good stuff. He was my developer buddy, but as you can imagine how much coding was involved to have like a map and people be able to talk and gamification. And he would come over, I would get beers because I had an apartment, and I'd get his favorite wings and we would like code and stuff. But at one point it's just not scalable. I wasn't bringing any money. I come from like not the best area. I don't have rich family members ask for money. I was literally just maxing out credit cards, no idea what I was doing. So not only was that like, was I losing money, and this is, I just had before social media, I didn't have a way to get out there. In business, if you're getting into it, you're going to have days where you wake up and your phone is blowing up. It can be very, very good or very bad, but something viral happened with your business on these days. That day was bad. It was where a bunch of guys in California came up with the same concept, supposedly, filming it in a Land Rover. I know it's like a brand new Land Rover, and they filmed the segment with TV. So now these guys have the money. Clearly, they have the fire. It was just like, oh, what am I going to do? And that's, I just had no backing. I'm like, I can't keep doing this. There's enough, so I pulled the plug on it. But I will smile so big to this day as I am now. Having that gamification sheet of badges before the big corporations did it puts the biggest smile on my face.
Wow. And even today, that's a crazy idea. I want to do it.
You know what? There's a social media platform. Some dude, you guys might remember, this was during MySpace. He sold it for like $100 million. Within the last 5 years, it failed. He bought it back for $1 million. And I was like, whoa, what if this guy can make lightning hit twice? I don't even know what it was, but it makes me think like, if I have enough exit, like I should bring that back just to start to finish that story.
You know what? If you ever want to do that, I will partner with you because I think that's such a great idea. I really do.
That's awesome.
We were just talking to another lady that she built from nothing this incredible lingerie brand, and we got on to actions and intentions. Mm-hmm. And we all know those guys that will come in and just pitch you like you've never pitched before, but they can never bring the action to their intentions. I mean, it just happens so often. I think it's actually the majority of the people. I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, I see that as the majority.
Yep. Absolutely. I tell people I'm an executor, and I don't mean that in any bad way or anything, but you either execute or you can't. That's what I care about. That's why I love like the entrepreneur masterminds. We have some ones that are like, ours are all private. They're hard to get into. I've got a private club I go to, and there's some really famous billionaires that go there. We bring these entrepreneurs, and we don't give a shit if it's your first, you just start out and you're making 30 grand, or if you're making 30 million a month. To be in this group, you have to execute. That's it. Like, you just have to be able to execute. No one cares what, we're all, as long as you can't control the outcome, but the behaviors. So if you have that, I can take action and execute, come hang out. Like we need to get more people like that.
All right. I understand that you're in the t-shirt business.
I don't
sold
know
a
how.
couple.
Yeah, to say that. I don't know. I never wanted to be the t-shirt guy in a million years. I'm a tech guy. My license plate on my SUV is app, because I do mobile apps. And now everyone knows me as the merch guy. I'm like, oh, come on. I'm officially the t-shirt guy.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I came to actually ties in perfectly with the life story. So I came down to, I did have some shirt experience from my different domains. I had them on. And I remember, because I got so into this buying domains and selling them, because I just had nothing, and that could feed me for a long time when I could sell a good domain. I would wear shirts that I domains on to the gym. Again, before smartphones, this is how crazy my brain is. I shouldn't be saying this. I would go get a domain, throw it on a shirt. Instead of, there's a line of treadmills, I would be on the treadmill in the corner. And they would have gyms then had TVs up, but people weren't like, staring at their phones all day. People would see it. As I'm at the gym, I could check my GoDaddy parking and I was getting clicks. Like, that's how insane I am. I'm like, t-shirts work, period. And everyone knows that you love to, they always say wear your emotions on your sleeve. Like, what you're proud of, what your tribe, what makes you think you're greater than other people, you wear on your chest. So I'm just a big fan of wearing custom t-shirts, and I'm cheap. Why should I pay Nike? They're not paying me to wear that shirt. So this then led me to making my own shirts. And being down here in Miami, I didn't know anybody. This was I love being out of my comfort zone. So I just moved down here. I didn't know anybody. I had a couple of friends of my sister, but I didn't know anybody. And I got real into scuba diving. I got so into it. I've been a huge adrenaline junkie. So I found a scuba instructor who would let me go ramp up really quick. I was going through my certs because I just wanted to be on shipwrecks. So with a matter of almost way too quick, he was letting me go through my certs, keep going deeper, deeper down, using nitrox scuba diving, and then get on shipwrecks. And I was actually looking for a golden coin that was mounted on a shipwreck real deep off Key West. I had a couple of kind of close calls. And actually, I have that golden coin of the Atocha shipwreck right here on my big tattoo sleeve. But when I was thinking like, hey, what shirts can I make? I came up with this little phrase to myself. And right before I would jump off into one of my crazy adventures, whether it's a plane, a boat, my motorcycle, I would just say, live legendary, die epic. It just almost became like my ethos of like, you're on the spinning rock one time. That's one of the few things I know in this world. So let's have some fun with it. And next, I started making shirts like that. And first it was like the guys like, hey, it's a cool shirt. You sell them? Like, no, I sell enough stuff. Leave me alone. Like, let me just have my silly personal brand shirts. Then get your jokes ready. I actually hail from the Jersey Shore at one point. So now girls that were quite attractive were saying, hey, that's a cool shirt. Where'd you get that from? Like, okay, now my gears are spinning. Like, wait, now guys and girls kind of want to buy this shirt. And then here's the very funny story on how this whole brand came to be. So I'm wearing my Die Epic shirt, and I lived in a very crazy party house at the Jersey Shore. So much so that the New York Times filmed or record. They didn't actually film. They took a lot of pictures, and they stayed with us for a night. And one of the girls that's on the famous TV show lived in our house during that summer, but they filmed at the end of the summer. And at that point, she moved to her other house. We didn't really see her much. And so I'm in this house of all these like crazy girls that move in, and we were all professionals. Like, we would work 9 to 5s, or I worked from home there, but it was on the weekends when we got unruly. So it was cool. You can get work done and still party on the weekends. So as I'm doing this, a bunch of the girls wanted to go get a drink on some happy hour Friday. And I'm like, all right, heaven forbid I have to go walk with, some 4 or 5 pretty ladies and bring them out for a drink. Heaven forbid.
Horrible thing. Horrible.
Tough life. So we go to the big bar called Bar Anticipation, or Bar A in New Jersey. And I'm sitting there having a drink. These ladies were, shooting the shit. And I see a very, very, very big, angry, scary looking man full of tattoos pointing at me. Getting his buddies who are, and I'm not a small fry. I'm super tattooed. I'm over 6 foot, over 200 pounds. And these guys are just dwarfing me. They keep pointing. First it's one, and then his buddies. They don't look happy. They keep pointing at me, and they're drinking. I'm noticing them. And then finally they're about to come over. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, all right, Dan, there wasn't an option. I'm going to get my ass kicked. I'm like, I can go out like a man or I can go out like a little bitch. I'm like, hey, girls, watch my drink. These guys got some bone to pick with me. And I know I'm getting my ass kicked. I had not a chance in the world. So I roll up. These guys are coming at me. I see them bring their whole posse about to kick my ass. I give them my drink. Say, girls, let me see what these guys want. I go over there. It turns out they were a bunch of stuntmen and MMA fighters. They loved the shirt so much, they were all just saying, "Oh, we have to go see where that guy got that shirt." And just to give everyone, the reason this story is so funny, that gentleman was one of the Rock stunt doubles. He not only is he's so big, he's one of the Rock stunt doubles. He had a tattoo right here that said, "I should have killed you yesterday." So that is how it hit me. Like, okay, this money could be going to charities. Like, I have to do something with it, or this guy's gonna kick my ass. And that gentleman's name is Miles. And one last little blurb. So then I moved to Miami, right? I'm thousands of miles away. And my girlfriend comes from Jersey Shore. She moves down here. She actually turns out she knew that Miles guy before I dated her. And we're at my 1-year party, which was a big community event here in Miami. We did everything for charity. And so we were like having surfboards painted, and that's all being donated to charity. We had a charity running our booth, selling our t-shirts that said that Die Epic phrase. And the crazy part was when all of a sudden, like, everything was nice and chill. Then you start hearing a bunch of sport bikes rev. Of course, the biggest outlaw street bike group in Miami, who I've rode with before, just crashes it. They drive all over the grass, park in front of the stage. The place goes nuts. Drones go in the air. So the poor lady who owns this spot just has the biggest eyeballs you've ever seen. Usually it's probably like yoga retreats. And now the biggest outlaw street bike gang is just taking over everything. But the coolest part of that moment for me was when Miles walked in. They used to film Ballers, I believe, a TV show that The Rock was in Miami. Turns out he was there. Julie contacted him, and the same dude that helped me start this company, because I thought he was going to beat the living snot out of me, was at the event.
Wow.
And that was so cool. And we just got started. We had a skydiver go down, sadly wearing all of our gear, but we're such a small brand and we're all about our tribe that we actually, at our 1-year party, I made a huge get well card. And I have a picture of this Rock stunt double signing a get well card for this, skydiver. And it was just that's when it hit me, like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Like, this is everything I want in life. Like, life's going to be okay.
So you've got this incredible brand, you've got charity, and you've got success. So it seems like charity seems to be a big part of your life. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I love giving back. That's what makes me smile. I don't need exotic cars. I live on an island. Let me give back, do charity. And that's all well and good, but having a brand is now a ripple effect. And that is everyone wants to 10x their money. Imagine 10xing your charity giving and your volunteering. No offense to Red Bull and Monster Energy drink, but we have the same niche. Now I'm very, very tiny compared to them, but they use their cool to sell sugary drinks to teenagers. Why not use that to now do as we just did a push-up contest to raise money for first responder masks while we're all locked in quarantine, or we would sell shirts on our website. The black were our cheapskater line. Again, I came from a place with not a lot of money, so I always want to have one cheap shirt, super high quality, but just cheaper. Henry Ford, you only can one color as long as it's black. But all of the other colors, if you wanted to buy it, they were $5 more because they went to charity. I forced you. You could not buy a red shirt without that going to a Muhammad Ali charity or whatever it was. So that way we could use our cool. We could use this movement to make, basically force people, which they love too. That's what I love about our customers. They love helping charity too. So we just want to do good. Again, I'm on the spinning rock, not very long. So let's have some fun, live legendary, and help charities and get that ripple in the world going.
Right. Yeah. What a great way of thinking. You have something. I mean, you got to talk about this. This blew me away. I don't know anybody who has more people tattooed with their logo than you.
Oh, so a lot of funny things about this. First off, I don't ask people. So please, if you're watching this or listening, don't think I'm some nut job who's saying, I don't ask people to do this. But yeah, we built a tribe, and that's what I live for. And I'm now getting into coaching businesses that are super successful, but they don't have that tribe. We just kind of did everything right. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I literally told you guys a story. I never, ever, ever wanted to sell these shirts, ever. They were my own personal brand. So when that gentleman, Miles, almost whooped my ass, I thought, and I decided to sell these, I was like, well, I'm only going to sell t-shirts. I don't want to be a t-shirt guy. I'm only going to do it if I can do something different. I wrote down an ethos. And to this day, 5 years later, I do not break those ethos. That is why I've got tattoos. The people tattooing my logo on them. Long crazy story, which we'll probably get into later, is that in another company, one of my kind of heroes is the gentleman Dan, ironically, from the company called Tap Out. Now, they were one of the biggest t-shirt brands in the day, worth hundreds and hundreds of millions. So now it's such an honor. I used to watch him on TV, and now we're business partners and good buddies. So he is the only guy I know who has more tattoos than me, and he's my business partner. But the best part about this is when I was locked in quarantine, like all of America, watching the stupid Tiger King, the shirtless guy covered in tattoos, huge Tap Out tattoo on his arm. I'm like, oh, not only does Dan beat me everywhere, he even beats me when I'm watching TV. So that's how I judge businesses now, is hashtags and tattoos. Like, I get it. If you're a plumber, you might not get a bunch of tattoos, but kind of hashtags and tattoos tell the story. So I kind of make those my KPIs, where everyone else is just focused on getting the cheapest product as absolutely possible. And then just building that culture is what led to the tattoos.
I just don't think I'm going to see anybody with the beard guy tattooed
You never
on their
know.
body.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you make someone go from struggling to their first 10 million. I would.
There we go.
Yeah, let's slap a little icon of a bearded guy on you.
Yeah. Now, you never said the amount, but like I did some research, and we were talking to a couple of your friends too. There's about 100,000 tattoos, isn't that correct?
Oh no, I don't think so.
No,
I don't believe so. It is tough because on Instagram alone, it's kind of easy because we'll do like a repost and use like hashtag diabetic tattoo. So maybe there's like 50, 100 there. I don't know. But then I get sent Snapchats all the time. We were real big on Snapchat at one point. I got some crazy stories about Snapchat. And then like now TikTok is big. And now, you want to talk about embarrassing? I guess I'm getting old. I didn't hop on the TikTok train. And I always go and I register at Diapic. And even if I don't use it, So I just looked recently. Not only did I made at Diapic my name, not my username. So now someone has it. So I just had to register Live Epic. But I just looked, hashtag Diapic on TikTok is at like 40, 50,000 somethings. I don't even use the app. And I see all the people rocking my shirts. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even there creating content and like moderating. So it's hard to say how many total tattoos. I would guess hundreds. I don't know if I even hit thousands yet, but it's a lot for a guy who's never asked for one. And I know it's got big when, luckily, Miami has a very big Russian population. I see girls who have Di on one calf, Epic on the other calf in Russia, who post on Instagram all in Russian, and they tag me. And I'm like, I don't know what this says. That's like the ultimate global move when people, chicks in Russia are tattooing it on their legs.
That's crazy. Oh man, I only wish that one day some lady in Russia has my face on their calf. You were mentioning about the tap out, the whole tap out scenario, and how did that come about?
So I actually, again, there's days where everyone will send you things. Here's actually, I got to throw this in here. One of the biggest days for Diapic where I knew I was in trouble because your phone starts vibrating off control. Your friends are calling you haven't talked to since high school. Something is wrong. This happened, I want to say 2 years ago. One of these examples, and what it was is a major, whoever the Bachelor was, he apparently said some bad stuff on Instagram. TMZ uses him in my shirt for the front page of TMZ for all of their articles. I don't know who this Bachelor is. I don't own a TV. One of the most proud things is I haven't owned a TV in 10 years. I love that lifestyle. So now some TV star who I don't even know, he's just a random purchase guy who I'm thankful he bought for me, but I don't know who he is. He now is getting in trouble in my shirt. So that's like one of these things, if you're starting a company, get ready. And another time is apparently there was a Facebook ad. It was a video. And they were saying, hey, if you have a t-shirt company, you have to watch this course. Everyone starts blowing up. The second time, my phone's blowing up. All my buddies, I'm like, all right, let me see what this looks like a scam. I don't trust a lot of courses. And it was a guy, Dan from Tap Out and Andrea Lake. And combined, they say with the three of us, we've done over $1 billion in t-shirts combined, the three of us. And I saw it and I thought it was a scam. Like, I don't know if I trust this course thing. So this is all on the record because it's on Twitter. I tweeted both of them. And even because my friends are all forwarding me this Facebook ad, I started tweeting them. Let me see if they know their shit. They're legit. They both got right back to me. It seemed legit, so I took their course. Back then it was called, I believe, lessons.biz. And yeah, they taught us how to start t-shirt companies. So of course I'm like skyrocketing there, just kind of like in my college days. My brand went from $6,000 the first year when I was just playing with it. I took their course and then I did six figures my year, well, exactly a year from that. So I was kind of like the class, like teacher's pet. And just like in college, it was awesome. They let me go on their courses. They would let me come on live and just, again, in the grassroots, here's what's working, here's what's not. And then I had a turning point where one of the girls that was running my live chat on my website for DiEpic, we get questions, as you can imagine, like medium or small, do you ship to Russia, stuff like that. She turns and she says, hey, are we an LLC or S Corp? I'm like, do not answer that. What are you talking about? She goes, someone's asking us, they want to start a t-shirt company just like yours. So I was like, okay. I was like, hey, we're not going to answer that. But what I'll do is I'll like make some blog posts and I'll teach people how to do that. So I started doing that and then Google picked me up. I love SEO. So Google started picking this up. And now, ironically, I'm getting almost more traffic for people that want to start t-shirt companies than I am almost for DiEpic. So that's when I'm like, okay, this has got to be its own website. And that's when I actually behind me, if you're watching, it says teacher with 2e's.com. So I made teachers.com, completely free website. And it was cool because I could go to my vendors, say, hey, give me a referral cut. It's kind of like Robinhood. Let's like almost like a group buy. I was like, I've got a bunch of brands to mentor. Give me some cheaper deals. They get cheaper deals. Everybody wins. So I actually made a graphic. And I made a little simple graphic of a cartoon of Mount Rushmore. It said Mount Salesmore. I had Dan, Andrea, and two other people I follow that were real big in the t-shirt game. And I sent it to Dan and Andrea because I was just going through the courses like, hey, I've got this free blog. Can I use this image? Just want to get everyone's blessing. I mean, I'm promoting you, but let me just reach out. That's when I get the email like, we need to have a talk. I'm like, oh, geez, now I screwed up again. Now what? And that's where she's like, how much do you want for your site? I'm like, I really don't want to sell it. Like, things are good. I had a meetup group. And that meetup group, I made it where in Miami it said, hey, like how to start a t-shirt company, come for free. I'll bring a bunch of my entrepreneur buddies who know marketing. It's going to be at a brewery. So if no one shows up, we can just have beers. I don't care. I'm hanging out with my friends either way. And the next day when I woke up, meetup.com was yelling at me. I had to pay them $60 more because so many people joined the group. I didn't promote it. I didn't have a photo, but so many people wanted to learn this. I didn't even ask them to promote it. So when I was like, listen, it's not just a t-shirt. I was like, I've got in-person meetup groups where I mentor. And then that's when she's like, okay, you're flying out to, beautiful Scottsdale in Arizona. We're gonna have a talk. And so that's when we decided to join forces, bring teacher.com in with lessons.biz and bring everything together. And now I went from watching Dan on TV just to, not to pat him on, not to give him too big of a head because he's not on here. Hopefully he doesn't see this. He had the number one TV show on Spike TV called Tap Out. To have a t-shirt brand get so big that they're following you around with cameras and you're the number one show on that, network. So to watch him from TV, I was just happy he was a mentor and that he's so proud that he would see my success. He saw us getting skydivers in Dubai. He got to follow us to now being a business partner and buddy. Again, things like that are not supposed to happen from dudes like me from Trent, New Jersey, who just come from, the school of hard knocks.
With Tap Out, it started strictly as a t-shirt company?
Yep, three guys. He probably, the funny thing is that me, Dan, and Andrea, we literally bragged to see who had less money. And I think, Dan, it was three guys in a bad part of California, a black van they bought for $1,500 they would sell t-shirts out of. But he did some really cool stuff. He knew MMA was going to be big. So the UFC wanted nothing to do with him at first. Yeah. So he would do MMA events with his van, 10 by 10 like we've all done. And eventually, he started showing up those events and he would get fighters because he was the brand of that sport. And then he reached out to UFC and said, hey, just give me, I don't want anything. Just give me flyers with your fight dates. I'll put them in my bags. It cost you a half a penny and you're going to get more sales. And then ever since that's when they started okay, well, let's work together. And then they just blew up together. That sport wasn't even heard about 20 years ago. And then it's huge. I don't miss a fight now. Kind of some funny stories about that teacher company. So I'm pretty tattoo covered. Dan's definitely covered in tattoos. And again, not to blow him up too much. And, this isn't a plug or anything, but one of my favorite stories about Dan and Andrea is he was a police officer. And that's where he got into MMA because think about, and this is so relevant to this terrible times we're in right now. If you're a police officer and jiu-jitsu and someone's coming at you and they don't have a weapon, you're not scared. The training on weekends you're throwing around. He was a huge proponent of getting the police to learn martial arts. And as Tap Out was blowing up, he was still doing a lot of money, still had his, police job, and finally, when he was ready, it was actually, I think he said it's because of what's the song from Eminem? Lose Yourself. You've got one chance. He punched that $1,500 blacked out van's window, says, I'm going to make it. Tattooed Tap Out on his throat, which as a cop, you're instantly fired. And he just went out and from that and just made brand worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And then the last funny story on this is when Dan and Andrea first met, because believe it or not, Andrea Lake, who, again, the other business partner, she is such a big name, but no one knows it in the t-shirt game. At one point, I want to say 25% of all the walls in Hot Topic were her shirts. So she was an unbranded brand, whereas me and Dan from Tap Out are very branded. She could make fun shirts under any names. She had the rights to Walking Dead, Call of Duty, Minecraft for t-shirts, an absolute beast. So Dan, believe it or not, was excited to go meet Andrea at an event. So those two were going to go meet up and go have lunch in California somewhere nice. And Andrea's walking across the street, and Dan grabs her wrist and pulls her back like something bad's going to happen. He's like, I can't cross the street. He's like, what do you mean? She goes, cops see a guy like me with this many tattoos, they don't take it easy. So he's like, so he actually told her, I'm not allowed to jaywalk with this many tattoos. They treat me way different than a nice, cute lady like you. So it's crazy, especially this times. And the end point on this is when we do our little coaching with the three of us, you see, I'm a big tattoo guy. The other Dan is a big tattoo guy. And you see sweet little Andrea. Guess who's the most honest and abrasive with the students in a very good way? It's Andrea. It's not the tattooed looking, epic guy. No, it's a sweet looking lady who just shreds him like, your designs are wrong. You need to fix this. It cracks me up.
So I'm curious because I get this question all the time about Amazon and e-com, about being saturated. So if I wanted to get into the t-shirt business, what would you say about the market being saturated? Is it worth getting into the business? How do you jump into the t-shirt business?
Yeah, yes and no. It's what the good news. Just today on Private Closed, we all agree that it is getting more difficult. It is getting saturated. And here's a very good example of it. I recently started paying for YouTube because I like to watch instructional things on there. And every YouTuber now can click a button, and now the bottom of the videos has all their t-shirts for sale, like their merch game. So that's something where even where you think okay, maybe I compete with another Adrenaline Junkie brand, I actually don't. I compete more almost with YouTubers who have a great tribe following and they sell t-shirts. And honestly, you only need so many t-shirts, let's be honest. So stuff like that is harder. People all over the world can now, you can be in Bangladesh or in India and either look online, take courses and learn how to do this yourselves. And a $4 in American money profit goes way farther in India than here if you've got employees and you're paying all the taxes. So again, it is very competitive, but social media makes it way easier as well. You can build that tribe. So I tell everyone, start on social media. This used to work. I don't think it works as much, but when I started, social media is not only free. I have 100 Instagram accounts, because this was free. Again, I never had an investor or anything. You could all these, Instagram accounts, see which ones are hitting, which ones are interacting, and then you could build a brand off that. So before you spend a single penny, definitely jump in, but start with your social media. If you can't get an engaged following there, why have debt over your head and a bunch of t-shirts in a dusty pile where you've even more stress? Build that following up first.
So with your teacher, to get involved with that, can you tell us a little bit more about that business?
Yep, you can check out just teacher.com. And we also, there's other pages we use on Kajabi and stuff. So it's all over. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And at the end, not only, I think it's a bunch of weeks and you get a live call every week like this to answer your questions. And then kind of as a grand finale, the three of us just like this would hop on and then we review people's website live. And it's great because, that's literally when I didn't know if this is a scam because I'm anti-course. I'm not anti-course. I'm anti-courses on fake gurus. I always like to dissect them, and I wasn't sure if it was a scam or not. And when they tweeted me, I know it was legit. But the fact that I would just pay for a call for Dan Andrea, whatever, I would have paid for that just to be how do you become the biggest seller at Hot Topic? answer is actually cookies. She would bring in cookies to all of her sales meetings. They knew her as the cookie girl, and they loved her. So like silly things like that. On her getting my dad loves what's that? You guys, Big Bang Theory, that TV show. She has gotten her shirts on the Big Bang Theory. I'm like, how proud would my dad be if I did that? Like that's hints that I learned all from her. So yeah, that's where if you want to pay for that level of coaching, you do have that option, but there's free options as well.
All right, let's get to the I hate saying the word failure. We talk about this on every call, but what was the biggest challenge that you came? What was that life altering event that basically made you who you are? What did you learn from it?
I think it just has to be the fact that I was just never funded. I don't know anything about funding. This day, I would be so scared to lose someone a penny. It's something I'm working on. I need to be able to learn this. But just because, as you guys hopefully agree with me, or everyone listening, I've had some pretty cool ideas over the years, and to never, being so young, so green behind the ears, and just going off stubbornness and energy and hitting that wall of not having funding. I think that was a tough thing to learn with, the world isn't fair. A worse idea with funding and a team is sadly going to outperform a great idea with a great founder if you don't nail everything perfectly. So that is one thing that I was always a chip on my shoulders coming from a non-business family. Grandpa, we think, was illegal. I didn't have that network, especially coming down here in Miami Beach, where you literally hear actual elevator pitches in elevators. A completely different universe. Where here, money, kind of flows way different than it is in Trenton, New Jersey, Hamilton, New Jersey, where I'm from. So I think is that a lot of my failure, because even though I had the energy, when you're working 3 jobs to make sure, because I moved out early at 19, to make sure the rent was paid first, then to have food on the table, then pay your insurance, there's not a lot of money left for startup stuff. So that was kind of one thing. I kind of covered a lot of my failures, and I don't shame from that, but that was kind of one of the things, is not knowing how to, okay, you know what, let me try this, working with partners, taking on money, all that stuff.
Great. Now, we always ask for a quote. It could be from you, or it could be from somebody else. Just wanted to talk about, what was a quote that you would live by, or what's one that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, I don't want to be a cliche. I mean, I literally built my life around live legendary, die epic. So it seems so cliche for me to throw out a different, it seems so cliche to use that. But the reason I do like that is that the very first time I went to a Toastmasters class or had a public speak, I was petrified, and I still to myself whispered, "Hey, die epic, go out there." So that is something that has way more to do than just extreme sports. So, I mean, of course, that's going to be one of my favorite quotes. But what about you? I'm curious. What is your great wisdom? What's your favorite quote?
Think.
I like that.
That's it. That's it.
Oh man, I went to the California Silicon Valley Museum. Yep. They have the original Think from IBM, and I tried to. If I can find replicas on the internet, because after I was all huffed up, I was like, man, I want to buy something that says that. Just Think. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's. I've been living with that for years. A matter of fact, how everybody's got the stupid Skype messages.
Yeah,
mine's simple. Think ...
Oh, see, there you go. So that is what we brand to get to people to tattoo on them one day.
Oh, hey, there we go. See, that's why, you sit in the leather chair. Okay, so we're kind of winding down here. And, well, first of all, I want to make sure that I get this out, because half the time I'm new at this. I forget to ask people their contact information. So, Daniel, how do people get a hold of you?
So the most generic is basically at thedimassa.com. That's my Twitter. I prefer that the best, because I someone who uses Facebook all day for business. I hate using Facebook. If you are interested in the t-shirt game, though, here's where the best place to get me. Dan and Andrea started a free Facebook group. And it's really cool, because when you ask a question, maybe you'll get one of us, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll get 10 other t-shirt brands throughout the world to answer your question. And that is T-shirt Entrepreneur Mastermind. It's a Facebook group, so that is a great place to join if you want to go if you've got questions. And because that is more t-shirt relevant, I am building a new site called tribeexpert.com. It's not done yet, but that is where I'll have all my contacts. So just when it comes to building tribes, you've got questions, that'll be the platform to answer questions there.
And you are the guy to build a tribe.
That's actually my background. And I was laughing. Just today, I was working with the designer. We're trying to build out the site. And I was like, I don't know if this is the biggest, never ending spiral, because I want to use these photos on a website of people tattooing my logo on them. I never gave them permission to use my logo, but then an artist did it. I don't have the permission of the artist, but then they put it on social media, but they're using my logo. I'm like, I'm just going to wait until I get in trouble because I love my customers. They love me. But I was like, I don't know the legality. It's so messy. I was like, I don't know what the rights are there.
I'm surprised they don't have to pixelify the logo. Oh, man. Okay. So we're at that point in the show where I kind of pass the torch and ask the question. Daniel, do you know a guy?
I do, somewhat. I know a gal. I mentioned her a few times. She's super interesting, has one of the best entrepreneur networks I know. I am going to say Andrea Lake. And one cool story that she hates when I tell people, so I'm going to tell you now because she probably won't bring it up. She was on the world famous Apprentice with Donald Trump. And she has some crazy stories from that. And when she got fired, it was something where she had a bunch of companies. One of them was a sticker company, and people, I guess on the show, thought she was like a creative. She's like, I'm not a creative. I'm a business chick. I just happen to have a sticker company. Something happened on the episode, and she ended up having to get fired by Trump, and they blamed it on her, though she wasn't a creative. Apparently, the next day, Donald Trump called her basically to apologize, saying, if I knew that was the case, I probably wouldn't have fired you, or something like that. You can get the true story from her. But that is my favorite blurb about her. It's like, Donald Trump called her to apologize after firing her. That is way legendary than me.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, I can't wait to talk to her. I don't know very many more interesting people than you, but she sounds like she could beat you. All right, Daniel. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Awesome. It was an absolute honor. If you ever need me back on to another one, as long as your fans and listeners like me, I would love to be on. This stuff makes me smile so much. So thank you so much for having me, guys.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys and gals. Thanks for listening. For more great content, please like, subscribe, and follow I Know This Guy on all social media platforms. I Know This Guy relies on listeners like you. Please visit our Patreon page to find out how you can help.